The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Paranormal Concept right here on Parasearch UK Radio with your host, Paul Rook.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Paranormal Concepts. I'm your host, Paul Rook, and on tonight's show, well, we've got a really good, interesting guest for tonight. First of all, I'm going to introduce Kerry Greenaway. Hello, Kerry.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you? How you been?
I'm really well, thank you.
Have you avoided all the bugs and stuff that's going around lately?
Yeah, I've decided to hibernate.
Yeah, same as me. Stay indoors.
With my bear.
That's it. Yeah, you've always got a bear with you.
I've always got bear with me. That's all I'm going to say.
No comment. I'd like to say hello to everyone in the chat room that's joined us tonight. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to make an absolute fab night. Our guest for tonight is John Blackburn. Hello, John.
Hello, Paul. Hello, Kerry. How are you?
We're not too bad, thank you. How's your week been?
You know what? It's been horrendous. It's been. I've had. Let me see. Over weekend anyway. I've had 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, about 10 hours in 3 days sleep.
Wow.
Yeah,
I got that today.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Right. So before we go into what your paranormal team you're in and stuff like that, tell us a little bit more about you. How did you get into the paranormal?
Oh, originally it was. I kind of got interested, and I've told this story before, and I'll cut it short because of the time really. But when I was 13, I saw a young boy next to my bed, which he kind of looked about the same age as me. But the thing is that it wasn't only me who saw the young boy. My mum saw like a green mist around my bed, and I saw the young boy, and we made eye contact for about 30 seconds, and he was very pale, very lifeless, and he kind of wearing like old type of workhouse clothes, you know, that type of style.
Yeah. And
anyway, with being 13-year-old, I didn't sleep for a week, and it got me interested. And it was only later in life that I actually got involved in what I'm doing now. Like a lot of other teams out there, I went up and down the country with like a small private research teams. 2 of them. I probably did, I don't know, maybe 2,000 investigations in that time that I did that. And then I worked for a paranormal company for 5 years as a host. And then I set up Mysteria Paranormal Events, which was before what I'm doing now, really. And that was quite an interesting journey, to be honest.
Okay. What's the most active places that you've been to? What would you suggest to others to go and visit?
Well, there is one, and it's where I do my pentimento experiment. And we don't usually allow people to actually to book the location. It's kind of the reason being because it's such an active location that the owner said that we could use it for the pentimento experiment, and that's what we're doing. But once a year we allow people in, and we are going to do in this October if anybody wants to book and to take part in the pentimento experiment. And also we are going to allow people to book the location as well. it was more the owner really. He kind of trusted me to actually do to actually run the location. So what I decided to do, if anybody's interested out there, is that on the night you can book the location. It's only cheap to book it per person. I do the event on the night for whoever wants to book it. So to get me in the location for £25 a person, and they'll actually take part in the Pentimento experiment and different experiments that we do on a night, Victorian seance, the whole deal really.
Okay, and what location is this?
This is Cook's Corner in Hartlepool. It's an amazing place. Maxine actually took me there one night, and I always like to be prepared, before I start an event. I like to know what I'm doing and what I'm going to do. And she took me to Cook's Corner, and I said, Maxine, it's just one room. I said, I just need a little bit of time to myself, and I'll think about what I'm going to do. But you know what, Paul and Kerry, it was the most amazing night that I've ever done, and whenever you go there, it just never disappoints. It's just constantly active all the time, and it's just one room.
Okay, so are you doing the seance in that one room, and that's what people book in, yeah?
We do everything in the one room. We do the Pentimento experiment, we do the seance, we do energy workshop, we do the Kelpie experiment, we do all sorts of it.
Okay, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah,
John, what's the Pentimento experiment?
Well, that's a long story.
Well, we've got an hour. Go for it.
It all stemmed. I'll try and cut it short because it really is a long story, and it was the demise of Mysterious Paranormal Events, to be honest with you. And what actually happened is, you've heard of the Anguishman painting?
Yeah, it's the painting. Yeah,
that's right. I worked with it for 3.5 years, and whilst working with it for 3.5 years, what actually happened was that the first year and a half, I would say, not a lot happened really. There was certain things that happened, like on the painting itself, there's a painting underneath the painting, and basically there's a skull that you can see just under the paintwork itself. And what we found out is if you put a laser thermometer within the area of the skull, it was something like 17 Celsius higher than anywhere else in the painting. So a good friend of mine, Stephen Griffiths, said, why don't we turn the painting around and then see if there's any, like anything to influence the heat on that side, like a radiator or something. So we did. We turned it around, and guess what? The actual temperature was the same. It followed the skull side.
Okay.
So anyway, small things happened, and then I began to get a closer bond with the painting itself. It turned out that there was two entities attached to the painting. One was negative, and the other was what I called, who replied to David, really. And David always told me, you're going to think I'm a nut, or maybe not, I don't know, but David always told me that because of our friendship and our connection we had together, that he was able to hold back the negative side.
Okay.
Anyway, so what actually happened, to cut a long story short, because it is a long one, I could talk. Well, actually, you'll hear all this at Power Force anyway,
okay,
and you'll get a live demonstration as well, and exclusive footage that nobody else has seen before, actually.
Ooh.
So, what actually happened is, over time, when Sean Robinson, who actually owned the Anguish Man, when he gave it to me, he didn't have an easel. Okay, so he kind of loaned it to me for 3.5 years, and I decided to get an easel to protect it, really. And as soon as I gave the paint an easel, gave it legs, it started to move.
Sorry.
So as soon as I gave...
Clarify that.
Okay.
You gave it an easel and it started to move, so it walked the easel?
Yes, basically, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it did start to walk it, first of all. What actually happened is when the way it works, if I worked with David for once a month, he didn't do much. If I worked with David 3 times a month, he was amazing. And in the end, what actually happened is I started doing what I called the Anglishman Live experiment, and this was 6 years ago now. And basically, what it was all about the painting, really. And David would, at first of all, he would kind of rock backwards and forwards, and it was like he was kind of walking, if you know what I mean. But that kind of panicked me, really, and I said, look, David, I said, you need to calm down a bit. I said, rather than walking the easel, I said, why don't we slide it? So not only was David interactive, but he's intelligent as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, we had intelligent conversations. So say like, for instance, I said, a no response sometimes for David was like it'd shake the actual painting itself, and a yes response would be like he'd lift up the left leg of the easel. So we had conversations like this. One of the amazing things that happened one day, and he's a gentleman called Bill Smith, who probably be listening to this tonight, I should imagine. And Bill Smith was a skeptic through and through, and his wife brought him to one of the Anglishman Live experiments one particular night, and it was held at Woodchester Mansion. And what I actually did is I put the painting inside a room inside the mansion. If you've been to Woodchester Mansion, you know the cellar. There's like little rooms off the cellar, and I put the painting in one of the rooms. And what I did, just for a bit of fun, really, and to make it a bit different, when everybody came in, I gave them all a raffle ticket. So Bill, bless him, thought he'd actually won a bottle of wine. You know?
I bet he was surprised. I bet he was surprised when he see the painting and thought, "Oh, I won that instead."
Well, what he actually did, he was allowed 10 minutes on his own doing a lone vigil with the painting. You see.
Yeah.
So I said to, Bill said to me, he said, "Well, what do we do?" I said, "He likes to be spoken to," and he said, "Right, okay." I said, "We'll just have a conversation with him." So he had his torch. I left him on his own. I went upstairs and I came back again. And I said, "Bill," I said, "what happened?" He said, "God, it was amazing." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, it was like in the cellar, although the lights were off, there was like a small window where a little bit of moonlight was coming in, which reflects on the painting itself." And he says he was talking to the Anglishman painting, and the mouth was moving. And no sound, just the mouth was moving. And then he thought to himself, "Now this must be a trick of the light." So he turned the torch on and shone the torch on the painting, and the mouth was still moving. So then Bill came to be not only a good friend, but he likes to come on as many events as he can do, really.
Could that not have been sort of a figment of his imagination, though? Because obviously you're in Woodchester Mansion, and that's quite a famed haunted location anyway. So with that in his mind, could that not have interfered with what he was actually seeing?
I guess you could argue maybe it could, yeah. But he said he was convinced that the mouth moved.
Yeah.
So what actually happened over time is I won't mention any names because it isn't a thing that I do. The last time I worked with the painting was, well, I'll tell you about Power Force first of all, because it's going to be interesting. At Power Force, I'm bringing some footage down, which I'm going to show, which you've never been seen before, and it's the only time I filmed David doing what he actually did.
Yeah.
best, and that's move around. And what actually happened is it got to be kind of a double act, really. I mean, me and David just worked together. You know what I mean? And I put David in back of the car, the painting itself, and I call him David because that's what the name that he always answered to.
Yeah.
So when I was driving in the car on my own, this is before I met Maxine Jane Briggs, who's now my manager. I used to talk to him all the time and used to say, right, David, today we're going to Woodchester Mansion, or we're going to such a place. And I used to describe where we're going to. And on this particular time, I never filmed David really, because I don't think he never wanted to be filmed. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't understand this really, where, Spirit at the end of the day, they're not stupid. They know that they're being filmed, and if they don't want it to do anything, then they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. And I was driving down to a place called the Red Line in Pontefract, and on that night I arranged Stephen Griffiths, from Living with the Dead, with Ian Lawman.
Yep.
He's got his own team, which is Swaddling Coat Paranormal team. And I asked, Stephen couldn't make it that night, but his team could. So I asked his team if they could make it down to the Red Line and film what was going to go on the night.
Yeah.
And they agreed. So we'd set all this up. And anyway, I was driving down there to meet the guys. And I said, look, David, I said, I won't ask anything of you like this again, but I said, will you just do something for me tonight whilst you're being filmed? I said, it's important that you actually show yourself what you can do tonight whilst being filmed. And I said, would you do it for me? And he did.
Okay.
And the footage you'll see is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Everything that I've done, I've always got witnesses to, who have witnessed it on the night. I've always got people to actually check the painting before they actually did before we carried out the event.
Okay, so do you still own the Angrish Man painting?
I never owned it anyway.
Oh, do you still have it?
No, but this is where the story goes on.
Oh, okay.
What actually happened is somebody who I won't mention their names, and this is what we was talking about before, Paul and Kerry, about the paranormal world.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
They contacted Sean and said that it was a fraud. So Sean was obviously not happy about this, and he took the painting back, which you can't blame him really. But anyway, that's what happened. The actual closeness we had, me and David, it was attached to the painting. Was quite amazing, really, and I let everything go. I just let Mysteria go. I wasn't interested for 7 months. I didn't do anything. It was kind of like I was grieving.
Yeah.
Sorry, do you think you got too close? Do you think you worked too extensively with it?
I don't. Do you know what? I don't think. Yes, probably yes, but if I'd do it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we had a friendship, and it was quite amazing, really. And it was only at that time, I'd only kind of met Maxine on the events. She used to come to the events, and we used to chat and stuff. And she, everybody who came on the events, all the regulars wondered what was going on. Mm. And Maxine said, "Look, you got to pull yourself together." He said, "You've got to get back on, and start to do it again." So I then started the Enigma experiment after about 7 months of doing nothing.
Yeah.
And the first place we went to was a place called the Manor House in London. And I was actually driving home that night to Manchester. So I went to bed after the event at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, Bill Smith, the gentleman I spoke about before, he had this spirit board, and he said he felt compelled to bring this spirit board to on that night and to give it to me and Maxine. So he brought it down, and Maxine, Bill Smith, his wife, and a lady called Cheryl, they all stayed behind and started to use his spirit board. Now, they all know that I don't use spirit boards, and I never have. So they waited till I went to bed to use it. So, and as soon as they put their finger on the planchette, guess what it spelled?
David.
David, yeah. And David proceeded to tell them that he'd missed me and he wanted to work with me still. There was strange things happened that particular night. 5 years ago on that very day of going to that event, a guy called Steve Smith who used to work with, he used to give me loads of books that he'd finished reading, really. And he gave me a book about witchcraft. No, sorry, not witchcraft. It was about spells.
Yep.
And a book of spells it was. And David actually spelt out the name of the book, which this guy gave to me 5 years ago before this event date. And the interesting thing as well, on the same day as going to the event, I've never heard from this guy in a long time called Steve Smith, but he sent me an email saying that he wanted to come on one of the events with his son, and I said, fine, we'll sort it out when I get back. So there was loads of coincidences on that particular night. And anyway, David spelt out the name of the book, and he also spelt out the passage, the chapter, that he wanted us to look at. And it was to do with 12 zodiac signs. And what I did anyway, it was that time. I mean, I'll be honest with you. After I got up the next day, I was really upset to find out of what went on, because, like I say, I was close to him.
Yeah.
And it was like being reunited again. And on that time, I thought to myself, you know what? No one's going to call me a fraud.
Yeah.
So what I actually did is the Pentimento experiment is about karmic transmigration. And what we actually did, we opened the book. We looked at the book that David actually told us what to look at. And we got most of the birth signs that we wanted. So we got people in a circle around a blank canvas which I bought and painted. The canvas was blank then, and I still had the original easel, but the painting went back because I bought the easel. You see, so I kept that.
Yeah. And
all this took place at Cook's Corner, and what we did, I said on radio interviews that we would achieve karmic transmigration, where we would transfer a spirit from David, which had now attached himself to the spirit board, into a canvas. And I said it'd take several months. This is before I actually did the experiment itself, and we achieved it in one night.
Do you not think that rather than the spirit of David attached itself to the board, could he not have attached himself to you? And he's following you.
Some people have said that. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think probably wait till Power Force and see what you think.
Okay, can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
So the spirit board that you said you don't use spirit boards. Do you use them now?
No.
Okay, so the spirit board that you think David is attached to...
Well, he was. He isn't now.
Okay.
So he just basically come through on that board.
Exactly.
As opposed to being attached to it.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Because what I didn't mention to you is that before we actually did the experiment, David stayed on the board for about 10 months or something like that. Maxine kept the board at her flat where she lives, and I used to talk to, because we live such a long distance away, I used to talk to David by mobile phone. So what what Maxine would do is put the phone next to the spirit board and I'd talk to him and stuff.
So he was just using the spirit board as a medium to talk to you, even though you was there.
Yeah.
You weren't there. You was there by mobile phone.
Yeah. So he could hear my voice. And things used to happen in the flat. Strange things happened in her flat at that time, over that 10 months. From the flat going absolutely freezing cold. George, a cat, would never go near the board. He wouldn't go in the room at times. It wouldn't be all the time. It'd be intermittent, really. And we also bought him a car. We bought this little plastic car and we put it next to the spirit board and it moved. And it was all to keep him interactive until we actually decided to migrate David into a new canvas. The painting is now finished. Oh, sorry, go.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. You can see if we meet, I'm going to pin you down and ask you like a million questions. Okay, so he was attached to the painting, the Anguished Man painting, but he was the positive force against the negative force that was attached to the painting.
Yes.
Then when you stopped working with the painting, he came through on a spirit board.
Yes, via a spirit board, yeah.
Via a spirit board. Then you feel he attached himself to the spirit board as a medium to contact you.
Yeah.
Was he then not attached to the Anguished Man painting then?
Well, basically you've still got the negative side, which is still with the Anguished Man painting.
But he had moved away from the Anguished Man painting.
The positive side.
The positive side. So, okay, that's a different subject then, to be fair, the Anguished Man. So we'll carry on with David. So he then continued to interact with you through the spirit board via a mobile phone. Mm-hmm. And you had activity in the location that the spirit board was kept.
Well, it got to a time where we actually, to give you an idea of what we could do with it, I worked with a crystal ball as well at times, and via a telephone link to where Maxine was at her flat, to where did we go now? It was down south somewhere anyway, because Maxine lives in County Durham, and this place I was doing an event at the night was in the south of England somewhere, and I took the crystal ball with me, and what I do is I connect a phone into a Bose system, these wave Bose radios, so like it works as a tannoy, and on the night we were getting David to do things to the crystal ball, even though he wasn't there with us. So that was pretty interesting. But so he's now getting. I've kind of come full circle now, really, because the painting's finished. I've finished the painting the way I want to finish it, and the way I think it should be finished, which took a long time. And I've come full circle in the sense that I've got to always work David all the time. So, say like, for instance, again, if I work with David once a month, he won't do a lot. He will do something, but he won't do a lot. And I need the continuous working with him all the time, and it's hard. It's hard to keep him going.
Do you not think just because he's attached, he's got obvious connection to you, do you not think he's just feeding off of you?
You mean in like a negative way?
Yeah, because I mean, as you said, right? If you talk to him once a month, he don't do much, but then after a few, 3 or 4 times talking to him a month, even you feel drained as such.
No, he's never done anything like that. I've had some crazy dreams, because he used, when he was when I was working with the Anguished Man, the painting was here for 3.5 years. My wife hated the thought of it being in the house, to be honest with you. And I had some strange dreams, and he used to communicate with me in the dreams as well. And it was always about World War II. It was always about concentration camps. I remember one particular time where I'm in this dream, and you know when you have a dream and it's so real?
Yeah.
I remember being stood in this tunnel, and I could see people in front of me. And then there was these 3 large German soldiers, but just the faces and just the heads. And they were kind of looking down at me and the people who was in this tunnel. And then the tunnel came out into parade ground. And in front of me, there was this young boy who was about 18, and he was in a fetal position on the parade ground with his arms over his head and his knees to his chest. And he was being kicked and beaten. But I couldn't see who was kicking and beating him. He was just being kicked and beaten. And I knew that I was going to be next.
Yeah.
And the dreams were crazy dreams. But Sean used to have mad dreams as well.
Did you ever get a second name for David?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
so how does this link into the Pentimento experiment?
Well, the Pentimento experiment is basically bringing David back to the way he was before. You see what actually happened when I was doing the Irishman live experiment. I was getting such good results with David. My idea was that I was going to attach a germanium receptor to the actual canvas itself, and then not only would I be able to work with David the way I did do, but also I would give David a voice as well, and hopefully he would speak through this germanium receptor. The germanium receptor was actually originally designed on the skull experiment, and basically it's like you get your Frank's box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The germanium receptor was the original that was built before anybody copied the idea, and it just produced pure white noise and nothing else, which I'd probably bring to Power Force as well, actually. So I made one based on the same design as the skull experiment one. So the idea is basically what a germanium receptor is. It's got a semi-precious metal in the middle of 2 coils which are rated at 7,000 ohms, and it's germanium, and that's attached to just a speaker and an amplifier which just amplifies a speaker. And when they used it on the skull experiment, a voice came through of spirit, and the whole idea came from that, really, is that I wanted to give David that voice.
Okay, there's a comment in the chat room.
Yeah.
That is a little weird. Do any of you have a cold? And she says, I'm asking because I'm talking to a friend and can hear breathing and she can't.
Right, okay. I have got a cold, but I'm not heavy breathing.
I don't think I'm heavy breathing.
No. And there's no output from me either, because when I talk, I get a little line that goes up and down on the studio, so I know if I'm putting out anything.
Interesting. Anyway,
Spooky.
Sorry, just had to mention that. I know, a little weird. The Irishman painting is something we have covered on the KTPF Reload show. So, guys, if you want to find out a little bit more about that was a weird show in itself, so check that out. And Andy Mercer is in the chat room, who I believe you know, and I believe you've got a crystal ball that he used to work with.
I do, and I love Andy to bits. He's amazing.
He says hello.
Yeah, I have indeed. I bought the crystal ball of Andy, because he got a brand new one, an all dancing, singing new ball, and bless him, he allowed me to buy his old one.
That's it, hand-me-downs.
They can be the best thing, I tell you, hand-me-down crystal can be the best thing. Is it a real crystal?
Yeah, it's
a real crystal ball.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. but it's an interesting one, which Andy worked with for about 35 years, so it's been well used, and which is a good thing. You know.
Is it quartz crystal?
No, it's like a selenite type of thing.
Selenite.
Yeah,
Okay.
selenite. Yeah, sorry, it's that type of thing. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, it's an interesting ball. Yeah.
I've only worked with a crystal ball once. That was again with Andy, and we was down in Kelvin Hatch, and he just basically said, like, just stare at the ball and see what you can see inside, sort of thing. And for me, it just went from crystal clear to black.
Yeah.
And that's all I saw. You know, so maybe a bit more fine tuning in my imagination, I would have thought. I don't know.
It's just it's a form of scrying, which is, is how you use crystal balls. But it does make a difference if it's real crystal or whether it's glass, because there are so many glass crystal balls out there. So
but
you have to be a bit careful.
Me and Andy go back. We go way back, about 10, maybe 12 years now.
You can get less for murder.
Anyway, so your Pentimento experiment is based around your experiences with all of this.
Basically, yeah. So I'm trying to recreate. Well, not trying to. I will recreate what happened before in the painting, which I have painted with my feelings about the way David came across to me. Really.
Mm-hmm.
What we are trying to do is we're trying to make a Pentimento documentary eventually, and it's going to take us to Auschwitz. I don't know whether or not we will be able to. Well, we won't be able to film at Auschwitz, but it'll take myself and Maxine to Auschwitz anyway.
That's brilliant.
Because it's all connected with David's past, really. One of the things that all the time I was working with the painting, all the time, the Anguish Man, I did say to Sean in the beginning, because the reason why I got involved in it is because Sean asked me to find out information about it, in which I said I would do, but I said I need to work with it, and that's why I was working with it for 3.5 years. And David always told me, in the way that he did, that he spent time in Bergen-Belsen. I found out later that Sean said to me that it wasn't Bergen-Belsen because eventually he found a cousin who knew more about the artist who painted the painting, and he said he went to Auschwitz. But the thing is about Bergen-Belsen, it was they kept people there first, and then they got sent to Auschwitz. So I don't think it was that far wrong, really.
Was you able to research David at all?
Not yet. I'm trying.
I mean, I know you haven't got a second name. It must be incredibly difficult. But you have a really close connection, obviously, with David. So
yeah. It's it needs more research. Yeah. This is what the Pentimento experiment is all about. It's about the finding more information about him.
It's a shame. It's a shame that you can't do more investigating with the painting as well.
What the
Anguish Man?
The Anguish Man. Yeah, Sean won't do that anymore. He's kept it in lock and key now. It's away.
Yeah, with the positive influence gone from that painting.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
It would have been quite interesting to see the negative, to see what
see what had happened since with the painting, since the two entities have split.
I don't know whether. I mean, to be honest with you, this is what David's telling me. I don't know whether David came along and attached himself as part of that, or whether he was there in the beginning. I'm not too sure, but I do believe he was there in the beginning, and there was definitely a dark and a light side to it. Yeah.
So I'm quite intrigued by it, to be honest. I mean, I do keep an open mind, but I like to look at the logical reasons of why this spirit has attached itself to your board and the painting, and maybe even yourself. I want to know why he's done that, what's his reasons for it. Because, I mean, to me, from what you said, it does sound like he's sort of almost feeding off you, which isn't a good thing.
Do you know, David's never done me any harm in the time that I've worked with him, and I trust him 100%.
Okay, can I just interrupt you for a second? One of our presenters, Kaz, is actually talking to Maxine at the same time the show's going live.
Yeah.
And Maxine has said, could you please say hello to David, because the planchette is moving on the board.
Hello, David. I hope you're well. David, we need your strength at Power Force, please. I'm taking you to, anyway, he won't even know what Power Force is, but David, I'm taking you to a place not next weekend, weekend after, which is the 30th of September. And
so if I bring a board down with me, we want dates, names.
David, I'd like your surname so I can research whether or not, Sorry.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
It's all obviously to find out more about him. That's sort of...
Yeah.
Well, do you know what we are doing as well? What we are doing as well is... we're being kind of selective, really, not in a bad way. Is because I'm back to where I am again, where I started, like I said, and with David, at the end of the day, he needs to be worked all the time, and it's kind of difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we wanted if some teams wanted that opportunity to work with him, but I would have to be there. I would have to be part of it. And the only thing that I would charge is just expenses to get there, because I need to. Really. Yeah. Because otherwise I'd be out of my pocket all the time. So it's not a money making thing. It's
no, that makes sense. I mean, especially people might want you to travel hundreds of miles. It's not fair on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So get them to come to you instead.
Yeah, well, this is what about the Cook's Corner as well. People can book that; they can get involved in it that way. You know what I mean? There's always really, but it isn't about the money. It's about succeeding in what we want to succeed in.
Absolutely, and I'd look forward to finding out even more when we see you at the convention.
Yeah. No, definitely.
It should be interesting. Like I say, we've got some footage there which has never been seen before, and you've got the painting there which I painted, which we're going to do an experiment as well with that. So, we won't get massive results from the painting because it's been a long time since I've worked with him. Mm-hmm. But I think you will get something.
Brilliant. I'm looking forward to that.
Well,
and we're also doing another show about the convention the Tuesday after the weekend.
Yes, we are.
I think that's on the 3rd, isn't it?
The aftermath.
Yeah, the aftermath of the... Yeah, because myself's going to the convention. I've got, obviously, Kerry's going. A couple of my other team members are going as well.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. And I'll get to catch up with Viv and Sean as well. And they've agreed to join us on the show also.
Oh, fantastic. That'd be good.
And I've yet to ask Ashley, sorry.
Oh, dear.
I know.
In the naughty books already. Your dog's going to have the hump with you tonight, sleeping in its doghouse. Oh dear.
Anyway, moving on.
Actually, I think what we should do...
Absolutely sounds fascinating, John.
Before we move on...
I don't really want to pin you down and question you further on this at Paraforce. I'm sure I will at some point. If you run away from me, I'll be like, no, come here, I want to talk to you.
Before we move on, I want to just play a quick break, a 30-second break, so we'll be back after this.
Harry Price here. Good evening. If there's nothing myself and everybody else enjoy here on the other side more is the sit back and relax and listen to Parasearch Radio with its paranormal news, views and reviews from across the UK and beyond. Make sure to find out more about them on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web, whatever they are, to keep up to date with all their broadcasts throughout the week and I hope you enjoy them as much as we do over here. Hello? Is anybody there?
And welcome back. We're talking to John Blackburn in regards to Enigma paranormal events. So we discussed obviously the experiments that he's planning at the moment with David. And have you got any other experiments that you're going to be running? Yeah.
Yeah, well, we tend to introduce them on the events, to be honest. We do the Kelpie experiment, which is about poltergeist activity. Basically, it was about, quite 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I bought a mourning doll, and it's just a trigger object, to be honest with you. It's not a haunted doll. It's just a trigger object. And the idea was to get, we used to use David to move it at one time. Yeah. In which it did on one particular night, which was at Cook's Corner in Hartlepool, much to the dismay of the owner, Jason, because it moved across the counter.
Okay.
And Jason was cuddled in the corner. It was quite interesting.
So do you use, because Kerry was saying to me earlier on that you use crystals as well in your investigation? Is that right?
They are broke up then. Sorry about that.
I said Kerry was talking to me earlier, and she said that you use crystals in your investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah. What in what respect do you use your crystals? I mean, because Kerry's my crystal expert. She knows everything. She knows so much more than me. So yeah, crystals. What do you do with the crystals in regards to the investigation?
The only thing I really have done is the conduction rope experiment, and this goes back 10 years now, maybe more. And basically, it's a conduction rope is a copper rope, and has quartz crystals attached to it as well. And it's a communication device. It basically moves for yes, no, etc. You know.
Okay.
Which I may bring that to Power Force as well. So because in fact, I think I will. I'll bring that to Power Force as well, because
please do.
Yeah, no problem. Because again, it's about working with the energy all the time. So for me, it is anyway. And the conduction rope's about that. So with that, hopefully, I'll be able to give David a bit more, and hopefully we'll have better results. But we'll wait and see.
Excellent. I mean, I'm really looking forward to that.
Do you use copper in the rope?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I've seen something. I've seen something a bit similar done with the copper rope, but it was more about transferring energy around the circle. So rather than holding hands, you all had this copper rope going around you instead.
So you've got a rope with copper wound around the rope.
Yeah.
And you've got crystals, quartz crystals, and rose quartz, did you say?
No, just quartz crystals.
Just quartz. Okay.
But like you were saying, Paul, that's what you just described then is what I do, so it's probably me that you saw doing it.
Okay, that was a Drakelay tunnel that...
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
Drakelay tunnels.
Yeah. That
was quite a long time ago, I should imagine.
Yeah. So, Kerry, carry on.
Sorry. What's the measurement between the crystals?
The measurement between where they're attached?
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't remember. They're quite far apart actually, probably about let me see, about a metre apart, maybe a bit more.
Okay.
No, probably about a metre apart.
How long's the rope?
15 foot.
Blimey. Okay.
It's probably it's 15 foot and there's 10. Well, there used to be 10 quartz crystals attached to it. I lose one every now and again. then I have to fix one back on again. But yeah.
Are they fixed via the copper?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, this is personal interest, guys. I'm so sorry. That we've had a few questions in the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to talk to you about the rope experiment, please, when we meet please. That'd be lovely. Why will you not use a spirit board is one of the questions that has come up.
Yeah, a couple of reasons. One of them is that I'm not being rude to anybody. Please don't think that I am. But every man and his dog does. And because you do, don't you? You go to every... near enough, everybody has a spirit board, don't they? And I like to be different, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the other thing as well is I think they can have a psychological effect as well with people. You either love them or you hate them. People come to events, they either don't want to use it or they do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, really. But I like to be different. That's the main thing.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Next question.
And we've had another question is, what's your take on poltergeist?
My take on poltergeist, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in it. Again, it's all about the energy at the end of the day, and that's why I work with it. It's the paranormal in the way I see it is the manipulation of that energy, and if you learn how to manipulate it, then you can get a lot better results.
Yeah. So I've always thought that poltergeist activity is more of an ESP product. Yeah. So you've got telekinesis, and it always seems to be centered around teenagers, more so girls, but it has happened with boys, but not very often. And it normally lasts about 18 months, and then it sort of dissipates. So I've always attributed it to an ESP instead of a paranormal, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Energy-wise, though, I mean, it's everything, isn't it? When you think about it.
Oh, definitely. There's energy there. Yeah.
Got any other questions?
Well, there are, but I think it might be a very in-depth question. What are the specifications of your TDS? Oh God, I can't even say it. TDC, transdimensional communication, I believe that is.
What's the what? Sorry.
What are the specifications of your TDC? Yeah, but as I say, that's probably a very specific question that you might want to answer in person.
Okay.
Paraforce.
Okay.
To be honest with you, Kaz has asked, do you believe in demons, John?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think I'm on the fence with that one, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Because I think he's good and bad in everything, really. But I'm not sure if it's demonic. Do you know what I mean? I'm not too sure, to be honest. I'm on the fence with it. I think I need more evidence on that one, really, for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I personally, demons.
The D word. It's the D word.
Yeah, I know.
We've got people saying the sound is cutting out, and we're talking D's. Do you know what I mean? We've got to be careful with this one.
See, I don't particularly believe in them as such, but I think it's more of a case of a spirit that's bad as opposed to biblical demon, if that makes sense.
I agree, yeah.
I agree. And I think that term is used far too easily and is misused. That's who I am with demons.
I agree with that.
Alcohol, that's a demon.
No comment.
Says Kerry on a third bottle already.
No.
Right, second. Oh dear.
Everybody gives me such a bad rep, I tell you.
I know. Right, changing subject, going back to Enigma. What has Enigma got any new experiments that they're thinking about doing, or that you can talk about?
Let me think of that one. I'm always coming up with new stuff, really, but at the moment, not really. I don't think. I think we just the main focus is pentimento at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so,
I did see loads of posts about the Enigma experiment.
Yeah.
was that another one of your experiments? And what was that for?
Well, the Enigma experiment was originally what I called it, and then we changed it to Enigma Paranormal Events.
Okay.
The Enigma experiment is basically an umbrella of different experiments underneath that.
Right. Okay.
Which there is quite a few, in actual fact. There was one interesting one that you'd probably like, Kerry. And we did it at 30 East Drive.
Did you?
Yeah, and it was very, very interesting. And basically, what it is an experiment designed for ladies. Because ladies, and I'm sorry, Paul, don't sort of take this the wrong way.
No, that's fine.
The energy of ladies at the end of the day is a lot stronger than men's. So what we did an experiment where we had all the ladies together, and we did it at 30 East Drive, and it was amazing. What an amazing night! Obviously, there was myself and a chap called Michael Postlethwaite who filmed it on the night.
Yeah.
And we were the only men there, but the ladies, it was primarily ladies, and it was such an amazing night. What actually happened is I had two mobile phones. I put one of the ladies upstairs. We were doing the Kelpie experiment at the time where we had the doll and trying to get it to move as like a trigger object. Because what we did was a lady with facing the mirror. The doll was behind her, so she could see the doll through the mirror itself. And the idea of that is that if you're looking at an object direct in front of you, it's never going to move. It always moves when you look away, doesn't it? And that's the idea behind it anyway. So we gave her a phone. We was in the living room with all the rest of the ladies. We were trying to get the entities within the building to move the doll. And then all of a sudden, something took over the phones, and there was a conversation on the phone between two entities at East Drive.
Wow.
And one of them, and it wasn't interference or nothing like that, because we were having actually a conversation with it, and we were saying at one point told us they didn't want us to be there anymore, and he wanted us to get out. It's interesting. It was a very interesting one.
So have you got footage of this?
Yeah.
Where can we? Where?
Right. If you go on Ultimate Haunted UK, Michael Postlethwaite does Ultimate Haunted UK, and if you look for 30 East Drive, there is a couple of 30 East Drives there, but there is one which was just a ladies only night. If you find that one, that's the actual night, and it was amazing. It was an amazing night.
So I've done 30 East Drive, and we only caught one thing that we're sort of in minds about, but the rest of the night was completely dead. There was nothing there whatsoever. So I was wondering whether or not people are actually either bringing spirit in with them, or maybe it's sort of rigged in some sort of way. I mean, I'd really love to go back and do another investigation there, just so I can put my mind at rest.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I've been there maybe about 7 times or something, but it can be hard work. I agree with you. But I guess you just work a bit. You just got to work a bit harder, I suppose. I don't mean you. I meant.
I know you meant. I just, when we went there, we met the next door neighbour, and she was quite happily to tell us exactly what was going on.
Carol.
Yeah. And then the moment she mentioned orbs, it was like she's lost me.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, orbs this and orbs that, and I was like, really? Well, I want to get in there and investigate myself now. So, no disrespect to the lady, but I'd rather not know all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh dear, but I'm sure everyone gets that though when they do turn up.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it was an interesting night, and if you have a look at it, Kerry, you'll be intrigued, because I was pretty gobsmacked really. I've never seen Maxine scared, and she was scared on that night. Well, no, I've seen her scared twice actually, but that night she was scared.
That sounds awesome. We should definitely go back as a radio station possibly and do that.
Well, even our Kaz Rooney is up for that, and I know our Mark Manley is too. And I'm so going to check that footage out. Trust me.
Yeah. If you want, Kerry, I can send you the link if you want.
Oh, yeah, that would be fabulous. Thank you.
Am I on your friends list? I know I do. Whose friends list I'm on?
I don't know. I'm going to just check that right now, and if not, I'm going to friend request you. I have so many questions after this show. It's untrue. But we're going to be meeting in a couple of weeks' time at Paraforce. So I'll meet you in the bar.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah. That's going to be good.
So I'm going to meet most people in the bar at this conference. There's a theme here. I feel there's a theme.
There is in there. And sadly, we have come to the end of the show already. Time really flies on this show. It really does.
It so does.
Yeah.
We've had so many people in the chat room. I just want to give a shout out to them. That's Ashley, Andy M, Donna, Steph, Kaz, Richard, Carl, Lindsay, CJ, Kevin, Jay, and Maxine has been behind the scenes with Kaz, chatting away to her privately because they've been doing a spirit board session whilst we've been talking, which has been showing up some interesting results.
I hope they've been listening.
Of course they have. Yeah, of course they have.
Good. And David, of course.
Oh, and David, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, David.
Yeah. Well, it's been no, that's it. It's been a pleasure talking to you, John.
And you too, Paul, and you too, Kerry.
And I'll be looking forward to listening and seeing all the footage at Paraforce.
Yeah. Paraforce.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. Right, so what's coming up in the week, Kerry?
Okay, so in the week, tomorrow we have, I can never say this word, Povlja Island. Povlja. On Haunted Histories. And then we have the KTPF Reload show, which is the Rosemary Jane Grilly show, that lady.
Okay.
I'm so good at names and places, aren't I?
The
Dark Mirror show on Friday night is all about Arthur Conan Doyle Part 2, where we actually get more into his spiritual side. And on Sunday, on the Spirit Dimension, I have Mark Richardson.
Fantastic. And what have we got on the show next week?
Next week, we have got Carl Hutchinson on the show with us, and we are talking EVPs.
Awesome. That's going to be another brilliant show. So I want to thank...
No, it's not. Regarding the KTPF Reload show.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a KTPF Reload show on Thursday nights.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's going to be an absolutely amazing week, so definitely tune in for all those. And we shall see you all again next week, everybody. Have a good week.
Hello,
Bye.
Harry Price here. Good evening. If there's nothing myself and everybody else enjoy here on the other side more is the sit back and relax and listen to Parasearch Radio with its paranormal news, views and reviews from across the UK and beyond. Make sure to find out more about them on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web, whatever they are, to keep up to date with all their broadcasts throughout the week. And I hope you enjoy them as much as we do over here. Hello? Is anybody there?